So, a little while back, I made the third addition to my Sega Saturn console collection with a Japanese model HST14 in glorious white. Along with it came a stack of games, the majority of which I couldn't really make head nor tail of, but I was in particular looking forward to this one, which I believe to be a Super Robot Wars game. Excitement quickly turned to intrigue, as the disc inside clearly was not that of the expected robot strategy type. Instead it resembled shareware, or one of those weird discs you might get with a packet of cereals. This did of course turn out to be one installment of the Game-Ware series, a weird digital attempt at a magazine which ran for 5 issues in Japan. I have a few of these, but let's take a look at the first issue for now. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of advertising on this CD. Interestingly there, she read it out as UFO rather than UFO, but I shouldn't be one to criticise the translation, as will become apparent rather quickly in this video. After we've all been left wanting noodles, we are dropped into the main menu, and my word if it isn't the most 90s thing I've ever seen. We've got the weird inverted psychedelic lava lamp colours, rounded bubbles for buttons, inconsistent styles and fonts. It's awesome. You can zoom in and out of the menu by hitting the A button, and select menu items by moving this pinwheel around. It looks like we have 6 main sections, and the first one I chose to click on over in the serial game corner was Series of Dreams. I'm going to leave the old adverts in, as I found them bizarrely fascinating. Well, I don't know about you, but that's got me pumped up for some high-octane gaming. Oh, shit! So, I did start translating this until I lost the will to live slightly. So rather than do what I did with my Desperia video, where I attempted to interpret the text into proper sentences, I'm just going to flash up the translations verbatim, so if you are remotely interested in Ming and Shoko, you can pause the video and have a read through. Long story short, there's a bit of a love triangle going on. I think. Ooh, looks like our 2 main characters have just finished up their date, which for some reason has made her go slightly cel-shaded. My translation methods fall down at this point, so I'm just going to try and interpret what they're saying.
Ooh, I'm going to be an airplane now.
Stop it, you bloody nutcase, you're embarrassing me.
Will I see you again?
Yeah, of course you will. Not really.
I've wet myself.
They do some skiving from work to have a chat, which should result in instant dismissal, and they're off to the pub, where, hey up, what's going on here? And then it ends. Thank God. Let's move on to the next thing. So this roughly translates to the great adventure of Hippit Poi, which starts by saying in the spring of 1995, I was born, and then, oh God. Yikes. So from the offset, this one at least has the word game in it, so this one should be slightly more interesting. When we start, we are treated to some classic polygonal FMV goodness with a story that I'm sure we're all familiar with. Some army lads encounter a flying saucer which blows them to pieces. The planets rotate to reveal a small surfing alien type thing who does some perving on a nearby green-haired lady who, let's face it, seems totally up for it. Then, in an M. Night Shyamalan style twist, she gets shocked by something, which makes her very angry indeed. The flying lad gets a little bit too overly stimulated, and then there's a Russian soldier in a cryotube. She is then in his eye, and he flies down to Natural Planet. Right, I need to put in a warning at this point, as we are about to experience some of the worst music ever recorded. So our turnip ice cream cone man says something along the lines of, "Where are the flowers?" Then I'm guessing he slips on a banana skin. My new gaming avatar shows up. There's something about waking up a mosquito. He's like, "Oh shit." Something about us looking for a flower by the name of Sona Katoka. Yeah, this one isn't translating well. Anyway, let's just play the game before my ears bleed.
3, 2, 1.
And what do you know, it's in 3D. It took me a minute to figure out how to exactly play this, as you don't control the main character, instead you rotate the world around, which changes the alignment of your central block. Mr. Turnip will walk down whatever path is laid out in front of him, and we can manipulate his trajectory by rotating any square by 90 degrees. It's a little bit Lemmings meets Pipe Mania. The worlds aren't particularly big, but they are made complicated by how little of the overall map you'll be able to see from the viewing angle. If the character hits a dead end, or heaven forbid, a tree, then his life bar will deplete. The level is won by collecting all of the gems, and we have a pretty forgiving time limit in which to do so. It's pretty simple, but also kind of fun. I wish I clicked on this one first rather than watching the adventures of Ming. Anyway, what else do we have?
地中海の果物スイーティーがガムになった
Oh, sweetie.
新しすぎるロッテスイーティー日本直撃飲むスイーティーも出たわ
I don't know what the big 3D title on this one says, but the small black subtitle says Secret Office. You get to choose from Keith Lemon, a stereotypical con man who should be flipping a coin, and a karaoke fox and Duplo man. I chose the criminal looking dude, which threw me into this weirdness before the gameplay starts. I didn't choose to translate the text on this when I first played, which I really should have, as it spells out what to do by saying there is only one different character in the picture, which in this example refers to the pictures of fire which are all around the frame, which have the word fire within them, but one of them doesn't say fire, one's a big liar, and it's up to you to find it. If you don't know that's what you have to do, then you've got no bloody chance of falling upon it by accident. But luckily upon failing, the game pointed it out to me, and then the penny dropped. It's sort of like Where's Wally, or Waldo, if you're not in the UK, but instead of Wally being a recognisable person, he's a random few lines in a sea of lines. Anyway, once I found out what to do, I absolutely smashed it. And then got stuck again. Let's move away from that now and onto Sega Saturn Masterpiece Collection. With a name like that, we know it's going to be good. No surprises with this one. It says right off the bat that it's pinball. Heavy metal pinball, I should add. There isn't much to say about pinball. It's pinball, you hit a ball with two paddles, and in this rendition, the ball isn't in 3D. So we'll move on. Interactive advertising, or advertising, as it's written out for some reason. There's something a bit Monty Python about that, I find. Now let's remember that this is interactive advertising, so you would assume that we're probably going to get maybe a racing game with a Japanese brand of car, perhaps a fizzy drink along the lines of Pepsi Man or Cool Spot. Righto then, Telecom Town. You play as this cheeky little chappie. You find a phone card, dial 0088 and oh crap, spinning sweet corn. This is a mixture of a shoot 'em up and a belt scrolling action game. You basically move from left to right, taking out an assortment of weird enemies, your weapon of choice being the phone card that you picked up in the first place, and this takes a little bit of getting used to. You can throw the card forward, behind, and side to side, and each direction is mapped to a different button. That doesn't sound too hard, but forward isn't always to the right, meaning that if you change direction, so will your aim, so you have to compensate by using a different button. I quite like this one. It's pretty difficult, but some of the designs are quite pleasing. I especially like the dancing tongues with what I thought was an egg, then I thought was a hand fan, but now I kind of think it's a pizza, or possibly a Japanese flag. Either way, they look bloody pleased with themselves. Moving swiftly on. Yes! So my first impressions are, this isn't selling me on the hair gel, if I'm honest. I didn't fully figure out what to do on this one. You hop around, bump into stuff. You can collect fish, which make you go faster, and collect the hair gel, which I think means you can use your rock hard hair to smash things. I'll be honest though, this one didn't really hold my attention for particularly long, as it was kind of pants. Let's head on over to the digital gallery section and into the creators forum. This is kind of exactly what you would expect. Rather than letting the navigation through the disc trigger an advert or piece of video, you can just view them all here. Though I should have saved it to the end, as it ruins the surprise of what we haven't seen yet. Company forum is the exact same deal, instead showing us what I assume is paid for advertising. Information time, and we'll start with music. We can skip that as we've already ruined it. Onto an interactive colour chart. Let's go with Special Girl Pop. It looks like we have 5 artists to choose from. There's Shonen Knife, who I'm not sure but from the picture might have all lost their seeing eye dogs. Bjork, Shampoo if you remember them, and a few others. I think this is basically a short audible bio, but you don't get any music, just some writing. Where the excitement ramps up tenfold is over in the interview pickup section. Do you remember the first phone you ever had that could shoot video? That's what we're dealing with here. Unless you're a sickening child whose first phone was an iPhone 7 or something. We also get a bit of bio stuff, but to be honest, the UI is so confusing to navigate, we'll push on to movies. Skip. Ooh, funky. We have 2 sections, one being recommendations and the other one being devoted to vampires. Right, this is amazing. Out of all the things I expected to see on this disc, Eddie Murphy wasn't one of them, especially as he looks like he's about to chomp down on a giant pickle. We'll leave that one until later, obviously, but in the meanwhile, let's jump in with Boobarella from The Simpsons. This is kind of like a small version of IMDb, if designed on clip art by a 10-year-old. You can click through the movie stills and get a short write-up for each film. The only one I recognised was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so solid, let's click on what I thought was Viggo Mortensen from Lord of the Rings, despite it having not been made yet. Jackpot! What we are about to experience is a groundbreaking Mega HD resolution of 160 by 120, which makes you think just how far digital video has come over the last 15 years, considering YouTube now has support for 8K video. Once that's done blowing all of our socks off, we can click through a short bio of the main characters from the movie, a Q&A with the director, and then the cast credits. Let's go now to see what films are being recommended to a mid-90s Japanese audience. Of course! The City of Lost Children! What else? There's something about the low quality of that actually fits with the aesthetic of the movie. By now your ears will probably be hurting from the repetitive music, so apologies for that. Clicking through, we have the same kind of information that we got with Vampire in Brooklyn. We can click through the characters, see some screenshots, and view the casting credits. The same goes for the film Fair Game.
I got her. All right, top of the stairs on the right. I want you to keep her away from all the windows.
Do you have a problem with lawyers or something?
I'm a cop.
Really?
You know what, I've never seen that movie before, but that's actually kind of made me want to watch it. Whatever did happen to Cindy Crawford? Right, let's take a look at the Japanese one, which, let's face it, that's why we're all here. Oh, brilliant, it doesn't have a trailer, just a bio of each character. I did some digging around to try and find out what it was, and it appears to be a film called The Manga Apartment, following the story of artist Hiru Terada, and the only clip of the film I could find was this one. Well, I'm sufficiently gripped. I don't know about you. On to the games section now, which is completely devoted to Panzer Dragoon Zwei. Interestingly though, this expectedly bonkers menu does have English headings. They've just plastered over it with a Japanese label. Though the top one clearly says characters, but appears to be a sample from the soundtrack. Next up, we have a sub-menu of balls. The low and lazy bottom left ball showing up some screenshots with explanatory text. This is where the disc started to feel more like an interactive magazine for me. The sphere to the right outlines some of the characters in the game, offering up a high-res screenshot before horribly smashing it into portrait mode to display the text next to it. The top orb is the same concept, except this time it's going through the locations in the game. Then we have the interviews section, which is cool as it shows some of the gameplay with the developer's commentary, but bloody hell, was he sat on his microphone by accident when he was doing the recording? Lastly, we have Dragon's CGI image, which is what it says, high-res pictures of dragons with a short bio. And finally, the more perplexing item on our list, we have shopping. Here we can browse for a finite selection of books, music, videos, and specials. I'm guessing this was a proprietary service that required the Sega Netlink. My intrigue instantly, of course, steered me towards what specials were on offer, and ooh, look at that. Next, we have quite a lot of sportswear from the Descent brand, who I'm not familiar with, but it looks like they're still going strong by the looks of things. This appears to be a little bit before the days of being able to choose your size, so there is one entry per medium, small and large, which means it takes a little while to cycle through. In the Gamers collection we have game related collectibles. I translated the first few of these and I think they're actually strategy guides. Then later on we get these Wheel of Fortune missions, which are instructional videos by pro gamers on how to get good at the characters. In fact, I found a few of them over on Yahoo Auctions and eBay, and then the videos posted up on YouTube.
次に実戦でよくあるパターンとして機器によるよろけからの空中コンボです。よろけの回復が早い人には投げとの2択をかけてください。
Sticking with our vampiric theme, we have a small library of vampire films we can order, which now makes that previous section of the disc make complete sense. Books have a weird choice of subcategory. I would expect to see comics, but fortune telling and gambling are two things I just wasn't expecting. They could combine both of those into how to waste money and save on valuable screen space. Talent has an odd assortment of books. One in particular stood out as being by Beat Takeshi, which translates to the title of The Theory of Women, with a quote that says, "The more you read it, the more attractive the back of a woman is." Oh, Japan. The gambling section seems pretty devoted to horse racing, so forget that. Comics, as expected, is a list of manga titles which, I'll be honest, have all sparked my interest. And fortune telling, which has the exact kind of image I was hoping for. The video section probably holds the most relatable titles in its animation list. There's Akira, Pat Labor, Street Fighter 2, Macross, Sailor Moon and a few others. In sports, there are videos of sports. In particular baseball, football and American football. Cars, unfortunately, isn't the best of Top Gear. Instead, it's a range of videos about small 4x4s. Except for the one right at the end, which looks like saucy ladies showing you how to wash your car. I bet that would go perfectly with the Theory of Women book. And then there's music, which I forgot to click on. So that's Game-Ware issue 1 of 5. A bizarre look into mid-90s Japanese digital media, which if you thought that was a bit odd, the following ones turn it up to 11. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you liked this video, and whether you'd be interested in seeing the content of issues 2 to 5.